Hi, everyone. My name is Dipin Sadhav, and I'm the founder of CE Critic. I really appreciate you joining us today to learn more about our CE Critic intelligence engine. A little quick background on myself. I've been in the consumer electronics industry for over 16 years. I've been with companies like Kef and Rune and Amazon, and I've worked across a lot of different departments from sales to product to marketing, as well as leadership roles. And we're really excited to introduce the CE Critic Intelligence Engine today. Before we get started and dive in here, I wanted to thank TechFluence for hosting this. This is their first event on their new platform. If you see any issues or any technical glitches, Barry Myers is also on this call, so he's looking out for those. Appreciate all your patience as we work through anything that pops up. Just some quick housekeeping before I dive in completely. We will have a Q&A after this presentation, which will be in a virtual breakout room. And that's where we'll be able to answer any questions that you might have and dive deeper into the engine. We'll also have several complimentary reports. I'll also have a report on what happened with TV technology in the first half of 2026 as an example to show you the capabilities of our engine. So this engine represents 3 years of development, testing, and refinement. We built this to really understand how consumers form opinions and make buying decisions. The part about buying is very important to us and one of the pillars here at CE Critic. So what we do is we take information from multiple sources, we normalize it, and then we organize it into actionable intelligence. That means we're pulling things from professional reviewers, from forums, from different discussions, as well as YouTube audiences. And then we look for signals to determine what matters to the customers. And then we can put them into specific buying groups and then turn that intelligence into something the business can use to create a strategy. As we move through this presentation, I'll be able to show you more insights on how we pull that information and what we look for in our engine. To start off with, I would like to share where we sit in the current market. Many traditional tracking that companies use and brands use either focus on the bottom of the funnel or towards the top. So when we talk about the bottom of the funnel, we're really looking at the point of sale, website traffics, any sort of affiliate marketing that might be in process with a company, or the top of the funnel, which is the social media share, how much customers are mentioning your product, how much they're mentioning the brand, what is the voice of the customer, and how is the follow count and engagement working across different social media channels. Where CE Critic really comes in the intelligence engine is much closer to the middle of the funnel. This is when someone is researching their product or brand or whatever they're looking to bring for their next piece of gear. And what we do is we analyze to see what conversations they're having and how they're making their decisions on what products to buy. This is a really big distinction because while many might focus on whether someone's buying on Amazon or Best Buy or Walmart or any other retail channel, that's just how folks are looking to purchase the product, not what decisions led to them buying a product. And this is where we really come in and like to differentiate ourselves. So we want to make sure we're tracking the decisions that are made before the sale is created. Now, there's a tremendous amount of data that's already available in the consumer electronics industry. But what we're doing is we're combining all of these platforms, user comments, professional reviews, and bringing together a comprehensive outlook on what's happening in the market. Now, to be a little bit more controversial here, we're saying that traditional reviews is not enough anymore. And I think many brands feel this. Today, having several good reviews through top publications or having a top influencer or YouTuber share your product or share what they like about the product doesn't always necessarily lead to sales. That's because it is only one way customers research before they buy. As we know, they're going to look at user reviews on different websites. They're going to go to the forums, they're going to go to Reddit, and they're going to start to see what the competitors are doing in the market. And what we do from the CE Critic point of view is we look to see what's happening across the board and all the conversations that are happening, not just one from one channel. Now, to give you more insight on how this engine evolved, originally CE Critic started to solve a basic problem, which was consumer electronic reviews. They were very difficult to compare and sometimes even understand. Many publication and reviewers were using different scoring system, different priorities for testing products, and there was different editorial approaches. So we created this initial framework 3 years ago to normalize those evaluations. It was sort of a review of the reviewer, so to speak. What we started to do next after we normalized reviews from the reviewers, we started to look at the consumer experience. We started to incorporate what the consumer ownership experience was like, what the community discussions were, how the creators were influencing the discussion, and what folks were talking about during their active purchase research process. This really changed CE Critic from just being a review platform to a full intelligence system. Now the engine looks way beyond what the product is reviewed for and how well it's received by a small community, and it evaluates why the market is responding the way it is, which segments are driving the response, and what competitors are doing, and which actions are bringing customers to brands or away from brands. Now, this is a system that can be used across the business. We want to make a really big point here on showing that it can be used with the product teams, marketing teams, sales teams, PR teams, and for executive leaders as well, to want to look at the market as a whole. Each one of these verticals inside of a company have a very specific job to do, and there's a lot of cross work that needs to happen. What we're able to do is simplify the messaging, simplify the tangible outcomes, and reinforce what is important to the customers that ultimately leads to sales. So let's talk a little bit more about our process for gathering the data and normalizing it. So the collection of data, we have a wide net across the internet. I make the joke constantly that we read the whole internet, but we're looking from multiple sources, from multiple platforms, and places where customers are having their conversations. Then we take that data and we normalize it into our common language, regardless of its original format. Then we segment it. We want to understand who is buying and why they're buying, and link them to different specific buyer personas. Each industry inside consumer electronics is going to have different personas that companies will want to pull from. Then we get into our custom algorithm system and the way we look at all the data, and we weight and prioritize the information that's coming in. And this is what really translates into providing a clear prescriptive recommendation that directly informs the business what to do across all those departments, whether it's product, marketing, or sales. Now, as we walk through this presentation, I'm going to dive deeper into each of these segments here. So when we're talking about what type of information we're pulling in, we're looking at professional reviews and expert reviews that are fundamental to most companies' strategies when they're going to market. Then we're looking at what's happening at the retail level. We want to see what real world ownership data looks like compared to what the reviewers are saying versus customers are saying when they have product physically in hand. Then we're looking at the communities and forums. We're looking for nuance. We're looking for emerging conversations. And we're looking for enthusiast driven insights that allow us to differentiate the different personas in the market. We're also looking at all the creators when we're talking about YouTube and social media and how they're capturing audiences as well as shaping awareness and decisions for the end users and customers that are buying. Now, crucially, what we're really focused on is buying intent, staying very close to that middle of the funnel. These are customers that have an intent to buy a specific product, and we're trying to understand what is driving their sale, what is driving their decision to purchase a specific product. What's really comprehensive here is we make a full picture of the market and the buying decision. So we're looking at things like customers mentioning, should I buy brand A or brand B? I'm deciding to upgrade. I'm thinking about ordering this. And we also look to see the negatives. I'm looking to return or exchange this product. It doesn't meet my needs or expectations. All of this exists inside of our engine. And what we're doing is CE Critic leverages a sample of 100,000 unique qualified records across all these platforms to identify a quantify consumer buying intent. As I mentioned earlier, we like to break things up into different personas. This is just an example. There's going to be different personas based off of different industries. But here you can see one way we approach personas. We're looking for performance driven buyers. We're looking for value first mainstream buyers, which are usually casual buyers. We're looking for enthusiasts or prosumers, or we can look for ecosystem buyers. This is very important because it gives your team and the business an ability to target the right persona and focus on your messaging, pricing, and reliability based off of what the consumers are looking for. This is how we go from having a shotgun approach to being more of a scalpel. And a lot of the information out there that we're able to pull in allows us to know which personas are influencing other personas. So, for example, we might see a performance driven buyer who are usually early adopters influencing a casual buyer or a value first mainstream buyer who's just looking to purchase something in the next week or two and wants to have other opinions outside of the reviews they've read. These personas allow you to really hone in on which customer segment you want to focus on with your product and with what messaging. Now, there's a lot of uncomfortable truths that happen when we're looking at this data and what we're able to present. One of them is the perception gap that might exist for a company or for a brand. A lot of times, folks think that there might be something technical or something wrong with the product itself, but a lot of times it's a mismatch between the persona that's making the loudest noise on the internet versus a perception gap on what the product actually does. So we're able to look at why customers are buying specific products and what is driving their decisions. And this is just an example here where we're looking at the value proposition, the ease of setup, whether there's clear product positioning, and which customers are gravitating towards which message. And sometimes your strongest competition isn't another brand or product, but it is that perception in the market. So now I'm going to walk you guys through how we develop these reports and what we're looking for. It's two phases for developing these reports. And just a reminder, I will take you through a report in the virtual breakout room after this presentation, and we'll be able to see what is happening with TV technology in the first half of 2026. This is our flywheel. This is how we look to create these reports. We pull in all the expert reviews, we look at the consumer sentiment in the market, then we start to divide up the personas. We look for the buying intent signals and make sure we filter out those folks that are not interested in buying and just creating noise online. And then we look to see what's happening from a competitive standpoint. All of that gives us a full picture of what's happening in the market. Next, we take that, we help create the market narrative and provide the analysis so you understand what's happening. We look at the risk and the opportunities for the report. We are able to help with product priorities, messaging, positioning, and most importantly, recommended actions. These can be product specific, department level guidance, and something you can implement inside the organization relatively quickly. Uh, Really, the real takeaway here is that the insights are across the company and across the business. We want to make sure that the business has everything it needs and it hits all these departments so that the company can work together as a whole to reach a goal or objective. Now, as the engine is evaluating these narratives and shaping these perceptions, we're able to customize this based off of what you're looking for in the moment and what the company goals are and how we can improve and prioritize resources inside the organization. Now, just to give you a bit more information, this is an example of how we can collaborate together. We're looking at about 130 different configurable reports that you're able to pull from, which you would talk through to better understand the business needs. Now, we're not intending to just provide a one-time report or snapshot. What we want to do is work together to monitor things, whether it's pre-launch, post-launch, after pricing change or firmware updates, or even after a competitor enters the market. All these variables are constantly changing. And what we're able to do, and we're able to do very quickly, is provide you with the information you're looking for post launch or inside the market, and something we can track month over month or quarter over quarter. And we're able to do this in a fast turnaround time to where we can even provide some crisis reporting for you. So if something happens in the market that needs to be evaluated, we're able to evaluate it and give you recommendations. One of the big things that our engine's able to do, especially for crisis reporting, is identify if it's one person that's listed a negative review on, let's say, Amazon and then posting on Reddit and then a YouTube comment, if that's the same person, or if it's three different people and there's actually a bigger problem that needs to be addressed. So in the breakout room, you'll be able to see how it can be used in different markets, and you'll be able to see it from different angles. We've also included in the breakout room a tactile social media influencer strategy, so you can see how our recommendations can work and be implemented in real time. So we've spoken quite a bit here, or I've spoken quite a bit here around how we're pulling the engine, how we're pulling the information, and what we're looking to do. But I just want to constantly stress that for us, it's all about the actions. It's giving you information and giving the company information where they can take specific actions and not be generic about their approach to the market. A lot of times, departments can span into different territories that the product might not be ready for. But what we're able to do is really define where product development can spend their times, where marketing can spend their times, PR, sales, and customer support. We're also able to have an impact on the different facets of the business by showing you what's coming down the pipeline. Inside the breakout room, we have three reports there, which are going to explain what's happening for trends in Q4 across three different industries. So the engine doesn't simply say whether a topic is negative or positive. What we're really looking to do is provide all the content around the decision that you need to make inside of the organization. Now, uh, I'd like to give you a real life example here. So, Caleb Dennison, who has his YouTube channel, Caleb Rated, uses this engine all the time. Caleb is a partner at CE Critic. He joined us last year, and he uses this data every time he does a product review. And just to give you a quick snapshot and why he loves it, it's because he's able to understand what's happening in the market very quickly. When he and I are having conversations and he's preparing his review and he's done his analysis on a TV or an audio product, his first question is, what are people saying in the market? What questions should I be answering inside of my review? Now, he also has an audience that includes hardcore enthusiasts and casual viewers. So he's constantly wondering, am I hitting the casual viewers too much, or am I hitting the hardcore enthusiasts too much? Or how do I balance out my videos so that I'm as inclusive as I can be? And this is how we use the engine every week. We're looking at what the customers are saying, what is the most pressing questions the customer has regarding a product launch, and then he's able to incorporate that into his analysis and review. And that's been one of the big successes that's allowed him to grow his YouTube channel as quickly as he has. And we're able to focus his energy into something that would normally take some weeks, sometimes months, to even get that information instead of trying to read YouTube forums, instead of trying to read Reddit, instead of trying to go on AVS. I'm able to pull all that information for him, put it at his fingertips, and he's able to run with the data to make the best video he can. So just thinking about across the teams, just to dive a little bit deeper into here, our engine is going to support all these departments. We're going to be able to help with launch optimization. We'll be able to help with competitive response, product road mapping, any sort of marketing or sales strategy. And we'll be able to provide data for you where you can make effective decisions before finding out the market what is working and what is not working. So the intelligence is just not information, but it's tools so that you can work better, faster, and more informed. What's really important, and I'd like to share here, is that we are a scalable support system across organizations. Instead of having to spend months of cross functional research, we can deliver reports to you within days. Instead of having to wait for other departments to get back and do their own independent research, we can provide a complete picture for you within days or weeks rather than months and quarters. I really appreciate you folks joining for learning more about the intelligence report here. We have quite a lot to show you in our breakout room, and we want to be able to answer any questions that you have regarding the engine and dive deeper into our capabilities. Really appreciate Barry hosting this with TechFluence and having our first event here on the new platform. I just wanted to share here if anyone needs to get in contact with me directly, my email is dipin.s@cecritic.com. That's dipin.s@cecritic.com. Or you can also reach out to barry@techfluence.us. I really appreciate you joining us and learning more about this engine here. If you are in full screen, you can minimize your screen, and on the top right, there will be a button that takes you to the virtual room. And in there, I'll be able to show you what's happening on the uh, first half of TV technology of 2026. I really appreciate everyone's time. Thank you.